Action! And welcome back to Starting Nine. Carl here with Snake in a Philadelphia hotel room, fresh off Game 3. This is a recap episode. Before we get into anything, I want to thank Game Time. Game Time put us row 19 today in the action at Citizens Bank Park. The three of us, great experience for the show.
Basically the same seats we had during the All-Star game, close, front and center. Just a rowdy crowd. Couldn't be a better experience. Game Time came through for us. And once again, took care of everything, and we're very grateful for that. And had a blast, man.
Yeah. You guys can get a piece of Game Time. Download the app. Use promo code STOOL for $20 off your first order. Kind of funny / interesting personal anecdote is us sitting there in the row. There's a gentleman next to us, and John. And so the three of us went there, and then there was a guy individual, and I was like, "Are you here alone?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm just solo diehard Phillies fan." And I was like, "Oh, dude, what's up? How season tickets?" And he goes, "No, actually, dude." He goes, "Have you heard of Game Time?" I go, "You got to be kidding me, man. Have I heard of Game Time?" Thank you for that testimonial, John. Have I? Yes, yeah. I have. And he was like, "Yeah, dude, the tickets are
We had a good time with
them. Check them out." So thank you, Game Time. This is a recap episode. We went to the World Series. We said we're going to go. We'll watch it. We'll talk about it. We're going to put this out as soon as we're done recording. And then I believe we're going to Game 4. So we'll have more content out tomorrow. But for now, I want to talk about the game. We were on site, did a little tailgate, subscribe to the YouTube page. We have some organic stuff coming out. But again, just let's get into the game. We said right off the top in the preview show, like, a little surprised about Lance McCullers, a lot of momentum with Philly, surprised that they were priced at plus 108. Just a lot of surprising things going into Game 3. And now, like, my mouth is on the floor because the Phillies just fucking smashed them.
They set the tone. They did exactly what they were supposed to do coming in. I mean, the first World Series game in Philly since 2009, I believe. And, I mean, every run via the homer, Suarez did his job. He was only in jeopardy in the second inning and the fifth with guys at first and third, pitched out of a jam, punched out, Chas McCormick, and then got Altuve to hit that little weak pop foul to Rhys Hoskins. And they were able to get 4 innings out of their bullpen guys.
And we said, like, bullshit around before, like, bullpen guys, yeah, but, like, it wasn't Alvarado.
It wasn't
Robertson.
Guys. No, they had Gibson. They had Nelson. They had Bellotti. And they had Brogdon for 4 innings. So to be able to avoid, Robertson, Alvarado, Sir Anthony in that game was amazing, obviously, for the Phillies. But then you got to go to the home runs. And Bryce Harper's first at bat.
Unbelievable drama.
I mean,
yeah, like, let's talk more pitching later. Right now, though, just Bryce Harper.
We got to get into that. I mean,
and there was a sense when he got into the box for his first plate appearance, we all kind of looked at each other and were like, "This is Bryce's first World Series plate appearance at home." Like, which is very nuanced or whatever. But we're talking about
you basically
quite literally one of the most famous, like, generational talents of our lives. So to sit there and be like, well, it's his first home plate appearance in a World Series game. I mean, you expect Bryce Harper to have a lot of home World Series games.
Well, at one point you're like, okay, when is this guy going to stop coming up with huge moments? Time and time again. And he just continued to deliver. The first pitch he sees, first at bat.
What was the pitch, you remember? Was it a slider or fastball?
Like we talked about before, it's kind of hard to get that same vantage point kind of on the side. But I believe it was some sort of breaking ball.
There was
curveball or
slider.
slider.
Double checking right now.
Yeah.
It could have been a cutter too, which I think we'll get into later.
Could have been a cutter. I mean, his cutter was usually featured anywhere from like 86 to 88. The curveball and the slider had very similar velocities, anywhere from 81 to 84, maybe 85. And I think they were flashing up on the board the wrong pitch from time to time because it can look similar.
Yeah, it's tough because you're sitting there, you're like,
it's hard. It's
I
hard to tell.
looked at you at one point. I go, man, he's pushing that changeup. You're like, nah, it's actually he just doesn't have the feel right now.
Well, one of those was a backup slider, which happens. But he was so, and I told you this yesterday before the game. McCullers, yes. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers. We'd have to look at it. But I guarantee you he was in the vicinity of 60 to 70% breaking ball at least.
Man, now good for you because I do know the exact numbers.
What's the number?
All right, so he throws his fastball at 25% of counts.
Okay.
And then he throws his cutter, so if you want to call that a fastball, like 8% this year, which is up from 3% last year, which is something where I think, like, out of injury or something where it's like, we talked Nola in other episodes. Like, McCullers looks like he's trying to add that cutter. Now, interesting enough, outside of the cutter and the fastball, changeups like 17, 18%, sliders another 25, 27, and then the curveball makes up the difference. So you're basically dead on. It's about 73 to 75% off speed,
Right.
spin, or
and the
change.
numbers against lefties, I want to say he was anywhere from 45 to 55% breaking ball.
Yeah, heavy. I mean, the first couple pitches of the game to Schwarber, you looked at me and go, he's scared.
I told you he might not see one fastball.
And not scared of the game or the moment, but you just said in specifically, like, he's scared of Schwarber.
Well,
And to be rightfully so, because you have two guys you really can't make mistakes to in the Phillies lineup in this moment, and that's Schwarber and Harper.
now you can't really make mistakes to any of them. The way they're swinging the bat, all seven runs via the homer. I think a guy was on base, with a single or a walk. Schwarber was on base for Harper's homer in the first inning. They're just not missing mistakes, and I think some of it is that McCullers doesn't trust his fastball enough. In my opinion, based on the way he commands it. If he put it in the spot he's looking to, more times than not, he'd probably feature it a little bit more. So for whatever reason, he doesn't have good feel for it. He's not using it as much, particularly to lefties, because I think that the percentage in off speed goes up, 20 or 30%.
Did you see anything on Twitter? I'm going to show you the video too if you didn't.
I saw it.
A lot of people are saying that he's tipping pitches. So that's getting a ton of traction. I'm surprised, and what surprises me most is the Astros are the best at picking up on people that are tipping pitches.
Well, and in that situation, any team is probably going to pick up on that. I saw the side by side. One was his leg kick. The one on the left, his leg kick was much more tucked, and kind of his left foot was connected to his right knee. And the other one, his hands went a little bit higher. The foot was kind of away from the knee, more like a 90-degree angle. So if he was doing that consistently, those guys are seeing that for sure. And if he's doing it, if he's close to his knee, hands are tighter on one pitch, and then he's hands further away, leg is more out on another one, they got that like that. Yeah. So that could have been something.
Do you think so, though?
I mean, so I need to see when that happened, which at-bats those were. I don't remember exactly. But that could have been like an adjustment that he made in between innings. That's what I was
going to say is, what if he's making an adjustment because he went out there in the first inning,
and
he didn't have it right out of the gate. You saw Lance McCullers did not have maximum command or feel or whatever.
Right.
Now that could have something to do with. And I went back to this before when they rained out Game 3 and they moved it back. The Astros were just like, fuck it, we're rolling right through with Lance McCullers. Now, They made that decision. I thought it was around 6 p.m. Central Time. So it was maybe an hour and a half before the game. Lance McCullers is at that field for hours preparing for that game.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Now, what effect that has on a grand scale, it has some effect. It has some effect to just say, all right, don't worry about it.
It definitely has some effect, but ultimately I think that, I think we can almost say for sure that the Phillies were most benefited by the rain.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I mean,
to be able to have Suarez go out there, and it seemed like he was probably, under a pitch count, and we had this conversation during the game in between innings, so he could be brought back out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
And let's try and keep his pitches anywhere from 75 to 85, because if you rush him up there, 100 plus, maybe 110, then maybe you risk not being able to have him available in 2 days for Game 5.
Now he is.
And also, they have their big boys in the bullpen that are available. They have confidence that was built amongst the four of those guys that got to throw in that game. What do you think that does for Bellotti and Brogdon and even Gibson and Nelson?
Yeah, you have depth
it's
and
huge momentum
moving
forward. So if you need them in a spot, now they've gotten some experience. The very first game in this stadium, the atmosphere, the noise didn't, get to them in a negative way. There were a couple walks in there from Nelson. It could have, escalated a little bit more than it did, but he was able to shut it down. And then Bellotti getting the save, or I'm sorry, not the save, but finishing the game. That's huge to finish a World Series game at home. For the first time in a long time, that's a big deal for him.
Yeah, that just adds to the confidence and the depth that they go into, because Noel will take the ball tomorrow against Verlander. You have your 1, 2, 3, 4 everybody's rested in the bullpen. But then even the guys that are deeper than that, they're walking around with confidence, heads held high. So I'll go back to the home runs real quick because Philly just came out and set the tone right away. And coming into the game, going down 5-0 game 1, going down 5-0 game 2, the fact that they left Houston split 1-1 should just be celebrated.
They did their job
remarkably. And so now that they came to Philadelphia, all right, now you have your crowd, you're marinating, and you're at home. Again, the rain out. I think it is easier, too. With the rain out, you go home, take a dump in your own toilet, sleep in your own bed, bang your girlfriend, whatever. Like, what you're more comfortable at home. The Astros are going back to the Sheraton, 4-seat, whatever it is. I'm sure it's a nice accommodation. Just a different style.
Yeah,
so
I agree
the Phillies
with you on
just
that.
come in here, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even like it would be different, too, if they stole a game or if it was 3-2 or if it was 10-9.
Well,
or
they
something.
kind
They
of
just smashed the absolute shit out
in
of
this
the Astros.
in this game they did. They set the tone. They punched the Astros in the mouth. They really did. And not only, did they hit 4 or 5 homers, they didn't give up any runs. So when you shut a team out and you put up, a run total like 7 or something like that, and you hit that many balls over the fence, it doesn't feel very good in that Astros clubhouse. I promise you that. But again, they've been in these situations before. They're the Astros, 6 ALCSs in a row, divisions, 2 World Series in 4 years. They're not going to panic in this situation, even though the loss hurts.
The last team to beat them, I think, confidently or consistently. Not even consistently, I should say. The Astros' last loss like that was to the Phillies at the end of the season. Because, the 6-5 game when JT Realmuto in the extra innings in game 1, then they come right out game 2, control. That's the first time. And even then, they won. I think they lost the game by 3-0.
Which one?
It was the first or second game of the Phillies series at the end of the
finale
series
of the regular season.
The Phillies clinched postseason.
Yeah, so they
It's been weeks since they got slapped.
Well, remember this: they put up 6 runs against Ranger, his last start of the year in Houston. So,
the legend of Ranger grows.
Well, yeah, you just see that comebacker, calm, under control, he's not fazed by anything. I know it's been said time and time again, but it's true, and you see it even more in a game like this. But go back to that game, that was probably somewhere in his thought process at some point throughout the day. You remember your last start against a team. You just do. So to go from giving up 6 to kind of putting his foot down and putting up 5 zeros the way he did was a really big deal for the Phillies.
What was your overall reaction of the crowd? And I mean that from a couple different perspectives. Take it wherever you want. Obviously, just being there and as a player in your experience, having that Philly crowd, did that stand out? But then I guess also from your own personal experience of being in the crowd with, with the guys. It was cool. Jeff Passan came down. We were sitting and shout out Kevin Nagani
cool.
too. It was cool to talk to the ESPN guys. Tons of respect for Nagani too. He doesn't get nearly enough credit. But my bigger point was dude, we're just hanging out. And Phillies fans were super cool. That was an interesting storyline coming
Everybody was awesome all night. We had conversation after conversation. Everybody's gracious, obviously. Full throttle for the Phillies. Most were saying in 5, which I respect. It could happen now. You got to get the first one out of the way at home. But, yeah, we had a blast. And we stood on our feet, I'd say, 99% of the night.
It was like a World Cup game.
We sat down, and Colin, you could attest to that. What was it, for 45 seconds in between innings?
Colin?
I will be dead honest. Philly is top. I feel like I have to say top 1.
Tier. It's tier 1. That's what we did.
Yeah, it
tier
is.
1.
Unbelievable. And I hate rooting for it, and I hate being there and cheering for it, but it is just so much fun.
And the amount of strategy that was getting pinged back and forth now that Colin brings it up and we're sitting there talking about it, even little stuff. I looked at you, I go, I think Kyle Tucker's way too deep in right field. You go, no.
Yeah, when JT was up.
Yeah, you go, no, he's only 10 steps off the track. That's normal depth. If there was 2 outs and a runner on second base, he'd probably be
Schwarber's on first.
Steps.
If he's on second base, maybe he's up a little bit more. But with JT's ability to go the opposite field with power, you kind of want to cut balls off in the gap and not allow Schwarber to score. So, yeah, but that's kind of the stuff that I like, kind of going back and forth with you about, especially in game.
A lot to tonight pitch sequencing, because most of the balls put in play by the Astros, particularly against Suarez, were very weak early. A lot of early contact. That's a concept we've talked a lot about in the show. Like, okay, we could say Suarez dealt if he went out and he struck out double digits and all that stuff, but to me, he went in that first inning and just breezed through him and put his offense in a position like, boom, okay, now we got momentum. All right, boys, go swing the bats. And then you get that big ball from Harper. No, I'm not saying Bryce Harper hits a 2-run homer because, Ranger Suarez is pitching at contact. But it's a big stew and recipe and smorgasbord, as you said before. I love a smorgasbord.
Well, if he goes out and gives up 4 runs in the first, like, everybody's deflated. Like, they've been standing in the outfield for – 30 pitches. They're just kind of on their heels, maybe a little bit. Not that they're still not going to get focused for their at-bats. But you're right. Everything plays a part in, like, the momentum and the direction the game goes on either side.
Where you're running off the field.
Right.
With a little pep. Like, all right, boys, let's go. Let's go. Let's jump in. Let's take a lead.
Castellanos makes that
unbelievable. Again.
Forward sliding play, 3rd time this postseason.
It's like Maglio Ordonez.
All in big situations. So that was either the first out or the second out. I don't remember exactly which one, because then Alvarez struck out, but he was in trouble, so to speak, in the 2nd and the 5th when he had guys on 1st and 3rd. He had the punch out of Chaz, and then he had the, weak pop of Altuve. That could have been a 2-run double. He could have walked the guy, loaded the bases. So maybe you don't say he dealt, but in that sort of situation, 5 zeros. I think he had 1 walk and, several punch outs. That's dealing in the World Series.
And there was this thing when in college when we pitched, our pitching coach would be like, the biggest reward you can get is the day after you pitch well and you're working out and you're on your own, you're doing your run or you're doing your lift and you're just in your own little space that day after. And the satisfaction you get from fucking showing up for your teammates and those moments when you're alone is bigger and more of a motivator than anything else you'll ever get in your life. And that is a thing our college pitching coach says time and again. Like, you're fucking going out to work. So when you get an opportunity when you're alone and you look in the mirror, you're just doing your shit. You're out for that run. You're in your head. Like, did you go out and do what you're fucking supposed to do to take care of your boys and put them in a position to win? Like, Ranger Suarez, again, going back, like, dominate? Yeah, no, maybe not. But he put his fucking boys in such a position to go out today and go compete against Lance McCullers, which sounds so esoteric. It's easy to say that in hindsight, but it's a reality thing because that's a mentality.
Well, and if in any one of those innings, if he gives up 2 or 3 runs, the score might have been a little bit different, on the Philly side as well. You might not get to use a couple of those guys you brought in. No. You might have to go to D-Rob, or you might have to go to Sir Anthony or Alvarado. Alvarado got loose. So it was in the 5th inning, they get Bilotti up, then they go 1st and 3rd, then Alvarez starts getting warmed up in the pen. So that game was pretty close from going, one direction or the other. And Suarez put an end to that. He kept Alvarado and Sir Anthony Robertson out of the game. And like we talked about before, helped build those guys' confidence. Those 4 guys that came in after Suarez, like that's big for their ability to kind of dial in that mindset and say, I've already done it once. Fuck it. Give me the ball again.
And the rest of that pitching staff's got to be happy for each other. Like, the rest of those guys that, like, yo, you got a day off. Not like a day off, but, like, we don't have to use you tonight. Your guy got to go do it. So tomorrow when they show up and they're shagging balls and shit, like, Brogdon's going to feel great. Bilotti's going to feel great. All those guys are just walking around feeling great. And ipso facto, like, that shit rubs off, not to the rest of the team. I'm saying it's like, Bryson Stott's not going to play better but to the extent that bullpen culture, like, we went out and did our job. Yeah, we hung 7. That 0, that 0 means a lot to everybody on that pitching staff. Like, you celebrate a shutout, whether it's one guy or it's a staff. Like, putting a 0 on the board, especially in a World Series, that's the guys. Everybody
it's huge.
Every pitcher is rallying around.
Yeah, you're right about that. When you can shut out a team like the Astros to take a 2-1 lead in the World Series, it's one thing if it's in April or May. But when you do it at this time of year, and it just does so many more things throughout the course of the game that are at your benefit. So the rain out, huge for the Phillies. Then look, Syndergaard could have come out and thrown 2 to 4 innings and done fine. But to be able to put them in position not only to have Suarez pitch Game 3, but to give Nola and Wheeler an extra day of rest, that's huge for them moving forward into Game 4 and 5.
Let's go back to Colin's Corner for a second. Did you have another question? You said 2 questions.
Oh, yeah, we cut you
He's
off.
like FaceTiming his old lady right now. That's fine. Take your time.
No. See, this is what the other one came in was you took it too personal too quickly. I wasn't talking about Daniel Murphy. I was talking in the sense of a team like the Phillies or the Astros. You get taken deep so many times tonight. How do you recover from that? Like, they're a team that is built on, like, not necessarily the long ball, but they peck at you. They do every little thing they have to do to get by you. So for something like that tonight, like, is it the crowd? Like, what do you do to overcome what happened tonight? Because, like, I don't think they expected to leave Philadelphia not losing a game, but they got fucking buried tonight.
Killed.
Sure, yeah. But, I mean, it really all comes down to execution. Like, if you look at the pitches the guys were hitting out, you know, the first one to Harper was just a spinning, like, lukewarm slider in the middle of the plate. First pitch. So, you watch a video, even though you know you made poor pitches, you just, if you get an opportunity to pitch again in the series, you need to try and fix, you know, the mistakes that you were making. I don't think it needs to go any further than that. I don't think that mentally he's not going to be prepared to pitch again if he has to. He just knows that he can't, leave balls that are just kind of spinning in the middle of the plate.
But not him. I'm saying, what do you do as the Astros to overcome? Not
Okay,
like just the pitch.
yeah.
I mean, you got Verlander. You got Verlander on the mound tomorrow.
pitching
But
So
I looked at
like,
Jake. I looked at Jake and I go,
Does someone in the clubhouse, I'm saying, come in and say, like, hey, guys, like, even after
No.
one game like that.
They're
No,
not.
no,
They're not.
you're at the very end of this journey. It's like Chilbo Swaggins. It's fucking Frodo Baggins standing at the very end. Like, there ain't no coaching. It's just that ring's going in the fire. It's not. Now with McCullers, I looked at Jake after he gave up the one to Schwarber, and I go, I think he's dead I think he's now right. Like, you can't run him out in Game 6. You can't. Like, McCullers, maybe Game 7. If you have to go to a bullpen thing, and here comes McCullers in the 3rd inning, and it's nothing against Lance, dude. He's obviously legit. The background's there. His stuff's fucking
no,
legit.
he's good.
But
We'll see what Javier does tomorrow,
well,
right?
no.
So, sorry, Javier. Well, shit, he might not even pitch then.
That's why I was stunned that they were just like, all right, we're not even gonna like combo Javier.
Okay, well let's get in.
Something.
Yeah, look,
Verlander's taking the mound tomorrow, right?
Sure, yeah.
Confirmed, 100%. Game 5 or 4.
I thought it was 5. I thought it was going to be.
See,
I know that he was announced Game 5.
Okay, we'll have to figure that out.
We are.
But,
You keep talking. I'm gonna pull it up right now. This is fucking.
I thought it might be
Inside
Javier.
Baseball live podcasting.
We'll see how it goes, man. But
I mean,
I'd like
we
to
will.
see Javier throw.
I
I'd really
would.
like
I
to see
don't.
Javier throw.
If you look at Javier's splits, if I gave you Spencer Strider's stat sheet this year and I gave you Christian Javier's stat sheet this year, some people would get those wrong. Some people would not know the difference.
Yeah.
Because his if he's thrown I'm just spitballing here. I'm just gonna say, like, if he's thrown 100 innings, he's struck out 150 and he's given up like 65 hits.
That's very, very good.
He's
Christian
almost
Javier, Game 4.
he's almost got a 2
See?
to 1 split.
You
Attaboy.
blew me up. Javier Game 4.
I blew you up. Now then you have Verlander lurking
Well,
for Game 5. Now if they beat
are
Christian
you-
Javier and then Verlander comes back for Game 5.
Are you a little worried about Verlander? We talked about this.
I'm ready to talk about this. Here's the exact context in which
0-6
we
with a 6+ and 8 World Series starts. I mean, you
Yeah.
still throw him out there and you're comfortable with him pitching for your team, but it's not a tiny sample size.
Yeah, let's frame this specifically. It's 8 starts. It's 43 innings. It's a 6.07 ERA. It's 44 strikeouts. I believe 29 hits against 16 walks. I think it's a sample size where if it was 8 starts and we gotta tease this out in the Halloween episode, like
The
if
29 hits
it's
isn't
in
bad.
late May and you had a 6.07 ERA, people would say, "Hey, this guy's washed. Something's wrong. He's hurt."
So yeah, is he hurt? Exactly. Yeah.
No, I don't think it is. Here's what I think.
No. I'm not saying that he is hurt,
No,
but that's
no,
what people
no.
would say. Oh, is something wrong with him? Or
I think it's a 4-seam fastball, dude. That's what I think it is. I think he's got the style and profile where it's fucking July and August and June, and here come the Oakland A's, and who's that guy, and all that shit. But, like, everybody's at their absolute best right now, as dialed in as you could possibly ask for. You know, I mean,
Well, the Phillies aren't missing
everybody.
mistakes right now.
And so that's what I'm saying for
They're just
Verlander,
not.
though. For Verlander, though, in his career in the World Series, of like, well, why isn't he as good as he is in the regular season? You look at the sample size.
Well,
There
wasn't
has to be
Kershaw in that
something about
that
this
same
stuff.
situation for a while, and then people kind of stop bringing that up because he had success. Maybe this is Verlander's opportunity to kind of change the way people, because it's obviously going to be a huge game. It's either going to be 3-1 or 2-2.
I mean, he's either going to shut everybody up for a little bit,
Yeah.
or people are going to be extremely loud.
It
But
could
the
be a winner
reaction
go
to
home
his
game.
start will not be lukewarm at all.
No, but I mean, does anybody not want to have him on the mound?
Honestly, dude, that's what I'm saying. You look at the stuff with the four seam. I'm like,
He started out. His last one, he started out well, and then it just
you're right.
kind of hit the fan.
I mean, he's one of the best pitchers of my lifetime.
Yes.
And this is just an opportunity for us for me to overreact to a major discrepancy,
Sure.
a total anomaly.
But like we said, it's not a small sample size. It's
Eight
as
starts
far,
is
as
like,
as far as World Series go, not many guys get 8 World Series starts.
Cubs
And
once
soon to
traded
be 9.
Sean Marshall for Chris Volstad and Travis Wood, but Chris Volstad made 7 starts, and they released him,
Yeah.
and I lost sleep.
So I was just
And when's
going
the
back
last
and
time you thought about Chris Volstad? That's a question for the audience, not you, Jake. I'm sure you guys fucking played
like the
on
Niger
Team
Morgan,
USA together,
the
won a
Niger
Little League
Morgan
World Series
when he
together.
charged the mound.
Oh, dude,
That's-
Niger Morgan ain't fucking around.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think of when I think of Volstad.
Great game 3 tonight.
Yeah,
Hey, game
awesome
time.
Game 3.
Thank you
Game 3.
very much for putting us here. That was a good situation.
Yeah, game time came through again for
You
us.
took note-
Really
you pulled your
amazing
notes out
seats.
first. I
Well,
wanna
no,
run
so
through your biggest
I was watching. I was going back and watching the homers, and they're on. I don't want to say non-competitive pitches, but just didn't have a ton of action. A lot of them were in the zone. A couple were elevated or just center cut. I believe it was a changeup to Schwarber that he hit dead center. Just not the types of pitches that you're trying to throw in those situations. And also give credit to the Phillies for taking advantage of those mistakes, because I told you when Schwarber was hitting the cage yesterday, hitting off the curveball machine, just showing it on the network, you see him pop a couple up in the cage, and he's like, motherfucker. It was hilarious. But that's my point. Like, even though they make mistakes, you're not going to land on them all the time. They just happen to do it 5 or 6 times tonight on pitches that McCullers probably wishes he would have thrown a little bit differently.
And those Phillies hitters deserve like just all the credit
All
in the
the
world to
credit.
be able to
All the
rise to the
credit.
occasion, be relaxed, loose in the moment. Because you can press, man. I mean, obviously,
You
this is
can
a great
roll that shit
opportunity to press.
over. You can swing and miss. You can freeze and take a call third strike. Credit. Well, I say a lot of credit goes to the Phillies. But then if you talk to, I haven't seen McCullers post game interview, but I promise you that he alluded to the fact that just he didn't execute the way he would have liked, and the Phillies made him pay for it.
All right, we're going into game 4. It's Aaron Nola versus Christian Javier. As we publish this, it's after midnight, so it's tonight, I guess. Wednesday. Game 4, Philly up 2-1. Yeah, Christian Javier, I'm excited for the national audience, by and large, to get a piece of who this guy is, because
Some people probably don't know who he is.
most people won't.
Yeah.
I would say 75% of the people that will watch the World Series tomorrow night will have not seen him consciously.
We need to walk
pitch
around and ask the Philly fans, like, hey, so what
That's
do you
a
think
great
of Christian Javier?
That's a great
And
fucking
see if,
bit.
like,
See,
who the fuck
Colin,
is
his
that?
eyes just perked up. Like, every now and then we get these moments
Yeah.
from Jake where
Fuck you.
no, I'm just saying, like, you don't do man on the street content. You fucking
I don't.
you don't.
I
But
don't.
here's
I
a great
love
idea.
it. I love it.
Pussy.
What were you saying?
I was saying, oh my God, is that Jake Arrieta?
It happened a lot. Hey, I had a better reception here than I thought I was going to have. That was well received. Didn't know how it was going to go.
I didn't
But it
know
helps.
some
It helps when the
fucking
Phillies
loudmouth
win
19-year-old's
7-0.
gonna come up to you and be like, "Hey,
Nah, I mean, look, hey, the people here are great. Obviously, when I was playing here, we had some tough years, but to be able to see what they're like when the team is making a postseason run, I mean, it rivals anything I've ever seen.
Amen to that. 100%. And I don't want to admit that either.
But it does.
I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, well, Philly does it. They do it as well as you can do sports.
Yep.
So credit to Philadelphia. We're back. We're here next couple days. Come say hi to us. Come see us. We'll be in the tailgate lot. We got roving content. Subscribe to the YouTube. Subscribe to the social stuff.
You got a prediction?
Well, now at this point, I do think it is Phillies in 5. I think Aaron Nola is going to pitch extremely well tomorrow. I think the lineup's just so hot. I thought that you didn't, there were some bad at-bats from other guys tonight in the Phillies lineup. JT Realmuto had some bad at-bats. And that's nothing. Hey, good pitching.
Yeah, it's
Bryson
gonna
Stott.
happen. It's gonna happen.
Segura. You just get
You
a
got a
couple
score?
of those other guys get going. Bryce Harper doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. And then you got both Nola and Wheeler coming off starts that I'm sure they'd like back.
Yeah.
And
I
you
got
get to do it at home.
6-4 Phillies tomorrow night.
6-4 Phillies tomorrow night.
6-4 Phillies.
Man, I would love to see Nola
With a
go
shot
8 innings.
with a shot to sweep it home.
And I think Christian Javier go deep too. I think that I think Dusty's kind of going to that game with the gloves off on him. By the way, I do want to call us out. Seeing Ryan Stanek pitch the first night, that dude is so
yeah.
nasty.
Hey, blew 3
He
heaters by
I
Bryce.
was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Took
That
my
was a
breath
nice
away.
at bat. And you kind of forget about him. Like the success that he has had. Like they've got that guy down there. They have Garcia. Like Yerkody pitched tonight, didn't throw great. But again, give all the credit to the Phillies. Suarez, the 4 bullpen guys, Thompson for making great moves. Great win, man. Tomorrow's going to be fun.
It's the best team on paper versus the most momentum. And it's a beautiful fight so far. Yeah, very much looking forward to Game 4. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Subscribe to the page. Share the show. We'll see you guys next time.
Appreciate it. Awesome.